Hey guys, Cadin here, and I was originally planning to do this video differently. I was going to format it in a style of like my Chapter 4 Season 3 weapon tier list video, but while I was editing that, I kind of didn't really want to like put that much effort in at all, and also some of the weapons that are in this tier list are not actually in the game currently, so I didn't want to go into creative to get footage of that because I don't want to play Unreal Editor games. They all are pretty bad, so I'm just doing it like this because this is a little bit easier. Anyways, on to other things. This is my first video that I'm recording as an 18-year-old man. Yeah, that's right. Dream no longer wants to hang out with me, which is unfortunate, but it's also a little bit fortunate too because I hate that guy. And also, this video is not about Dream, this is about Fortnite. So, anyways, we're doing a tier list of every weapon in the OG loot pool that I am aware of that will be added, because I had originally recorded like an audio file for the original like preparations when I was going to film this, like the other video that I made, but I did not know 3 of the weapons that are currently here were going to be added. I didn't know they were going to bring in the drum gun, TAC SMG, and dual pistols, so those were not in the original recording, so that's another reason why I had to re-record this. And yeah, basically, we're gonna do this little tier list thing here, and I should probably explain this too. The reason why I wanted to do this, I originally didn't plan to make this video like way back at the beginning of this season because I figured the loot pools were changing every week, so I just decided this is not going to be worth it. But then I watched the Smith Plays tier list video, and oh my god, that shit was ass. That is the worst fucking tier list I have ever seen. This dude, hold up, let me see. Let me find the weapons. He put the semi-auto sniper in D tier, and he put the silenced SMG in B tier. Like, have you ever seen any more incorrect picks than these? Like, bro, come on. These weapons are insane. Or wait, this weapon is insane. This one... Let's go ahead and start with a tier list. Starting off in F tier, we have the silenced SMG. As I go through each tier, I'm going to be explaining what each different one means, because the way that I format it is probably different from some of the other people that you may watch. For my F tier, when I put something in F tier, that's where I put a weapon that is very clearly underpowered and not good at all, and is in desperate need of some buffs. This weapon has been in need of buffs for 3 years. Ever since this thing was nerfed back during Chapter 2 Season 2, it's been like... It has genuinely been one of the worst weapons in the entire game, with absolutely zero reason to run it. Every single time this gun has been in the loot pool for the 6 seasons that it's been unvaulted, it has done nothing but just clog up the loot pool, except maybe Chapter 2 Season 4, because that was when the TAC SMG was in its nerf state, and there was actually a slight argument to use exclusively the blue rarity sometimes, but yeah, no, this gun is just bad. It's just horrible. I'm so sad that it's still so bad after 3 years of being completely untouched. Like, it wasn't even a problem. Like, when it was getting unvaulted in Chapter 2 Season 2, if they left it unchanged, it wouldn't have been a problem, because this gun was like, it wouldn't have even been better than the original SMG was in its previous state back then. But I'm gonna stop talking exclusively about this weapon because I've already made a video about it a year ago, and while it's a little bit outdated, some of the points that I make in there still hold up very well. Anyways, now, let's move on to D tier. Also, I hope my face cam doesn't look too bad. Let me take a... I'm using my laptop webcam, so that's probably why it looks like ass. Anyways, D tier is, yet again, for bad weapons, but they're weapons that are kind of intended to be that way. Like, they're purposefully, like, not very good, because they're kind of intended to be starter-ish weapons, and there's only one gun in this tier, and I'm putting the 6-shooter in here. In my opinion, the 6-shooter was only made to be cool. Like, it's design-wise, the sound design, the animations, the ability to fucking fan-fire it, that's all really cool, and it's a very satisfying gun to use. It's just not really that good. It can be decent in some scenarios, but it has really bad accuracy if you're trying to use the fanfire, and there's just better options for trying to fight at long range whenever you're aiming down sights, so there's not a massive reason to use this aside from wanting to roleplay as like a cowboy or something. Moving on next to C tier. C tier is for guns that are kind of okay. Basically, like they're most effective when you pick them up during the early game, but by the time you like get to like the mid stage, you'll probably be wanting them out of your inventory. And first up, oh yeah, I should probably mention anything in a single tier is going to be in order, and the thing at the top of the tier is going to be the best, and the thing at the bottom is going to be the worst. So first up is actually a tie. Now that I say that, it's a tie between the silenced pistol and where is it? The normal pistol right there. It's a tie between those two. I just slightly prefer the regular pistol because there are things about each pistol that are better than the other. The silenced pistol does more damage and I believe is more accurate solely because it has a single higher rarity. And the regular pistol just has more bullets, which I personally prefer because the difference in time to kill is not that massive between these two. In fact, I don't think there's a big difference at all if you're just going for body shots, but you have to be on very specific amounts of health for the silenced pistol to kill faster than the regular pistol, so that's a main reason why I prefer this version, but it's up to whatever the hell you think, and either way, I'm pretty sure this got vaulted today, or I mean yesterday, so yeah, anyways, moving on to the next weapon in C tier, I'm probably putting the dual pistols up here. Now, don't get me wrong, these can be pretty good, but there's a couple things that are not great about them. First of all, is also the accuracy. If you're holding down the trigger for like, let's get the obvious out of the way. This thing doesn't have first shot accuracy. And also, whenever you hold down the trigger, I noticed, like, I was trying to shoot down a supply drop, and I had, like, my crosshair directly on it, and I was missing. Like, the bloom just kept getting so big. It just kept missing, bro. Like, it's just, like, they can be okay because it is like a burst weapon. You can probably be able to sneak shots through turbo build if someone's like holding a wall, but it also just takes really long to pull out. So if you're trying to use it close range in tandem with something like a pump, it's not going to work very well. So anyways, that's all I got to say about this gun. Next up, the final weapon in C tier, I have the combat shotgun. I'm going to get this out of the way real quick. I love this shotgun. I actually really love it. I used to hate it back during Season 9 when it was at its most powerful because it was just an overpowered piece of shit, but I actually really like this gun now. It's fun to use. What can I say? It's really fun to use. It's just like, it's a stupid-ass long-range shotgun that you can just tickle people with from a distance. It's fun. That's all I can really say. It's fun, and it can actually be pretty good. Like, I've gotten to, like, a game where I was live streaming yesterday before I went to work, and I actually did pretty good with it. So if you want to use it, you can, but I think other shotguns are probably just better. So if you want to do better, use a different one. Okay, next up, we have B tier. B tier is for just overall good, solid weapons. There's absolutely no problem with running anything in B tier, but if you want a little bit of a higher chance of winning, you'll probably want to take something in A tier over it. So anyways, at the bottom of B tier, I have the proximity grenade launcher. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you've never used this weapon, because back when it was first added, it was like extremely rare. Like, I remember that HJ Dugan video where like he spent a few hours trying to find it, and the only footage he got of it was like somebody else using it. But yeah, like this gun is okay. It's like basically it's exactly what it sounds like. It just explodes when it's near somebody, and it also has like if it doesn't find anybody or doesn't stop moving, it takes 10 seconds to detonate on its own, and it also has very little gravity, so if you want to grief somebody from long distance with this weapon, it's probably a viable option, and maybe this weapon's worse than I think it is. I'm probably putting it this high because of just what I previously said, and I also may or may not be getting blinded by this weapon being one of the best in Save the World. So let's go ahead and move on to the next pick in B tier. I have the scoped AR, and I'm probably underrating this one, to be honest. This might be higher, but I'm just not good with it. And this is also something else that I wanted to point out. This is technically the only first-person weapon in this season, and I'm actually very happy about that because this isn't overpowered like all the other ones. So it's actually a nice change of pace to not have an overpowered first-person rifle. But yeah, anyway, the best thing about this weapon is probably the fact that it has a 2x headshot multiplier. So if you can hit your headshots, it's the highest damage dealing assault rifle in the game, aside from the infantry rifle, but we're not there yet, so I've said all I think I need to say about this gun, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the flintlock pistol. This is fun. This is a very fun weapon. It's a damage and utility. You can either get up in somebody's face and do like 90 damage to the body or 180 to the head if you aim well enough, or you can just send yourself flying backwards like 3 tiles. But make sure that you're not doing that on like a tall structure. You might end up killing yourself. So be careful when you're using this gun, but it does do very, very well. Anyways, we're going to get on to another tie, I feel, and that's probably between the drum gun and the TAC SMG. Now, these weapons, if you're thinking that they're as good as they used to be during Chapter 1, they're not. Trust me. They are very, very watered down versions of what they used to be. And from the last time the drum gun was actually available during Chapter 1, it's actually received another damage nerf, which I find incredibly unnecessary, but I digress. They're both still okay options to run. The TAC SMG is surprisingly accurate, and the drum gun is just a suppressive monster. So you just get up close to somebody's box, you can just hold down the trigger with your 40 bullets on their box, and they'll probably cause them to waste a bunch of mats. But anyway, I'm done with these. I don't have anything else to say, so let's move on to the next weapon in B tier, the Burst AR. I love the Burst AR. I love that we finally had a 3-round burst weapon back for only a week. I don't understand why they couldn't have kept this around longer. Like, it got vaulted during Season 7, but they decided to remove it during Season 6 during this season. I don't understand what they did. The same thing with the heavy shotgun too. I don't get it. This could be a bias pick. I've heard people say that this gun is garbage, but I don't know. There's just something so satisfying about having a 3-round burst rifle that you were able to use for exactly 1 week. So let's go ahead and move on to the best weapon in B tier, the TAC shotgun. This gun is just a classic. That's all I can really say. And it is so nice to finally have the actual TAC shotgun back and not some garbage clone like the fucking Maven, bro. Epic Games can try as much as they want, but they can never recreate the TAC and have it be good. They always manage to find some way to fuck it up. There is no semi-automatic shotgun that can beat this thing. That tries to clone its stats. There's just nothing that can beat it. But I will say one thing about this gun. The difference between the blue and purple rarity feels almost too much to be a coincidence. Like when I pick up a blue TAC, I feel like I do way, way worse than when I pick up a purple TAC. Like, the difference between the feeling of them is like night and day. I don't get it. It's just a single rarity difference, but just purple TAC was crazy. Alright, now with B tier done, we now move on to A tier. These are the top tier, best of the best weapons in the game. You should feel completely confident with running them throughout the entirety of the game if you manage to find one. And the first weapon up in A tier is the standard assault rifle. There's really nothing, you cannot go wrong with picking up this weapon. It's just good damage, high fire, or high-ish fire rate. I kind of exaggerated a little bit there. And it's just, you've all used this gun. You all know that it's good. That's all I need to say. We're moving on now to, I believe, let me find it. Yeah, the next weapon in A tier is going to be the regular submachine gun. Now, I feel like there could be a bit of an argument between these two to see which one is better, but I feel like just because of the fact that this is the only weapon, or wait, that's a lie. This is one of 3 weapons in the game that does over 200 DPS. That solidifies its spot in A tier. Also, it's just nice having the original P90 model back, so that's another positive factor of this gun. So now, let's move on to what's up next in A tier. I got the Deagle. This thing is crazy with headshots, especially at range. This thing has good ranges. This thing is, you will be surprised if you try to use this thing. It does a minimum of like 50 body shot damage at range. This thing's nuts. Like, and it also does over 100... Or, well, no, it does 100 structure damage at purple rarity and 105 at gold. So if you want to take out somebody's freshly placed wood wall, you absolutely can. Just be quick with it because you only got about a second. Next weapon up in A tier, I actually have the Silent Scar. Now, maybe you're probably wondering why I have the lower damage version of the Scar above the normal one, and that's just because the accuracy. The accuracy on the Silent Scar is so much better than the regular AR. If you're trying to strafe and shoot with a normal AR, it's wildly inaccurate, but this thing This thing's crazy. Like, you aim down sights, and the bullets actually relatively go where you're trying to aim it. It's insane. That's... It's insane for a game like Fortnite where your bullets just don't go straight to have a gun that's actually semi-decent at doing that. But anyway, next weapon up in A tier, I have the double barrel shotgun. Now, this thing's also gone. It was only available for about a week, which I guess makes sense. It was not in the game during Season 7. But yeah, this gun, if you get up close in somebody's box, is insane. It's nuts. There's a reason why this was like the competitive player's favorite shotgun to use back when it was like still in game. It's just it's good. It's a good up close shotgun, but there are some drawbacks. You need to be good at the game in order to use this effectively, because if you try to shoot from farther than like 5 meters out, or if you miss even one bullet in the mag, you're done. There's no way you win the fight. You should probably just at that point leave the game. And anyways, next up is another shotgun. We have the heavy shotgun next to the double barrel in A tier. So this is the regular version of the heavy shotgun. I know you guys were probably able to use it at least a little bit during week 1, where it got vaulted again, despite being vaulted in Season 7, just like the burst rifle. But this weapon was nice. It was very good, and it had the highest headshot multiplier of any shotgun that will be added this season, and I think of any shotgun currently in the game. It had a headshot multiplier of 2.5x, so you would seriously want to aim for the head with this weapon. You could do like 192, and that was like the second most amount of damage right behind a golden pump. So it's a good weapon. I really enjoyed using it. Unfortunately, once again, it's gone, so we gotta move on. And then next up in A tier, I have the rocket launcher. Just a classic weapon, you know? I'm gonna be repeating a lot of words. You're gonna notice this. I'm gonna be repeating myself over and over again with the same phrases because I don't know how to speak. So I'm just gonna move on from this weapon because I'm pretty sure you all know how good it is. Just big explosion, big damage. That's all. So number 3 up here, number 3 in A tier is going to be the AK. I love using the AK, bro. It's so... Just, dude, the accuracy thing, the buff that it got in Chapter 2, Season 7 basically made this weapon, like, a top 5 AR. Just, if we don't count first-person rifles, this is one of the top 5 ARs in the game, because, like, there's absolutely nothing that beats any of the first-person rifles except maybe this one. Yeah, that's why this one is above this one. I do better with it. It's the accuracy reset on like the first 5 shots when you hold down the trigger is nuts, bro. It's crazy, but it's just not as good as number 2, the infantry rifle. This thing is literally just a better AK. It's just, hold on. It's just better than the AK in nearly every way. It does more headshot damage, has more accuracy, and fires faster. Like, there's once again, there is a reason competitive players love this game. This is probably every single comp player's favorite weapon in the entire game, the infantry rifle. I love it too. It's awesome, especially the M1 variant, where like whenever you reload, it makes the ping sound effect. It's so fucking good. I love it, man. And anyways, number 1 in A tier. You guys probably all saw this coming. It's the pump shotgun. You know it. You love it, hopefully. It's just it's a great classic weapon. It's nice. It's so nice to have all these OG weapons back in the loot pool. This is like one of very few seasons where I feel like there's not anything too crazy inside the loot pool yet. But yeah, no, the pump, it's just nice, and I'm gonna keep it 100% real with y'all. I was considering splitting up the pump, like just gray through purple and putting it in A tier, and then putting the gold rarity in S tier, just because it's the only shotgun in the game that does 200 damage. But I decided against it because I feel that the gold pump doing 200 damage is kind of balanced out by the fact that it's literally the rarest weapon in the entire game. Like, I've played like. I've gone like multiple days without seeing the gold pump at some points. Like this thing is so rare, it's insane. Like I genuinely don't understand. I don't know what the spawn rate is, but it's got to be less than like 0.01%, because I just can't find this thing, bro. Like, I made a scrapped video about trying to find the gold pump, and I recorded for 2 hours. I could not find that shit, bro. It just, that's the reason why it was scrapped, man. Just, you can't find this thing. You can't find it. It doesn't fucking exist, except for when it does. And now, anyways, we've moved on to the final tier in this tier list. S tier. So you're probably thinking to yourself, if I called A tier the place where all the best of the best guns go, then what the hell could possibly go in S tier? Well, my friend, S tier is where I put weapons that are flat out overpowered. Anything in this tier is in need of a desperate nerf or just needs to be straight up vaulted, but knowing Epic, they probably or definitely won't do that. Hell, they might even buff some of them. First weapon up in S tier is going to be the light machine gun. Now, I remember playing day 1 of this season, and I was streaming the, I was streaming it for some of my friends who were in school, and I picked up an LMG on Spawn Island, and I was like, one of my friends is like a big fan of the LMG, like they're good with it. It's one of their favorite weapons, and I picked it up, I decided to use it, and then I realized while I was firing it that they buffed it. They buffed the accuracy of this weapon, but we don't need to worry about it anymore because it's vaulted. We now need to worry about what's next up, the minigun. The minigun is the highest DPS weapon this season. It does, at gold rarity, 252 damage per second, and it also has an infinite magazine, but it does have a wind-up time that you need to deal with, but it also overheats. But if you if you're sitting at a distance and you're able to control the overheat, you could basically fire this gun infinitely if you really wanted to. It's really good. If you find it, there's really not much of a reason to not run it, but maybe don't try using it close quarters unless you have good setup. But anyways, this gun's just good. Now we're moving on to the next pick in S tier, the drum shotgun. This thing ruined Zero build in the 2 seasons that it was in, and it's being reverted to how it was in its strongest state during Chapter 3 Season 2. This thing, for you Zero build players, I don't play very often, and when I do, it's really boring because it's just really easy, but for you Zero build players, I feel bad for you. This thing's gonna come back in about a week, but it'll only be in the game for about a week, so maybe it won't be that big a deal, but anyways, I'm sorry for what you're going to have to go through. Next in S tier, I have yet another tie. It's a tie between the grenade launcher and the quad launcher. These weapons are just, the main reason that they're up here is because just, they have multiple rockets in the magazine that can fire in rapid succession. They both have a fire rate of like 1 rocket per second. This one, they both have things that are better than each other once again. The grenade launcher has, faster reload time and more bullets in the mag, and the quad launcher just does more damage. Personally, I like this. I like the quad launcher better because it also just explodes immediately on impact rather than bouncing once. But I'd say this is up to preference. These are both very oppressive weapons, and if you find them, you'll be sitting pretty. And now, you will probably notice all 5 snipers just chilling down here. And you're probably wondering why they're all still chilling down here. And that's because all of them are in S tier. Now, hear me out, okay? This might be a controversial take, but personally, I believe that a weapon that can one-shot a player from any range, no matter what health they're at, is overpowered. Maybe that's a hot take, but oh well. It's my list. You can go fuck yourself. But anyways, let's go ahead and rank these snipers from worst to best. At number 5, I've got the hunting rifle because it does the least amount of body shot damage. Number 4 is the bolt because there's nothing very special about it. Number 3 is the suppressed sniper because it's silenced and it has a quick ass reload speed. Number 2, I've got the Barrett 50 cal because it just does the most amount of structure damage. And number 1, probably the best weapon in the entire game when it was still in, the semi-auto sniper. This thing has 10 bullets in a magazine that can all do 200 damage. That is 10 potential kills from a single mag. If that doesn't scream overpowered to you, I don't know what does. But anyways, that's the tier list. This is what I have. This is my order. Let me know what you guys think of this, and also wish me a happy birthday in the comments section, but also please do feel free to discuss in the comments section what you think each weapon should be in. I would love to read some of your comments, and I probably will respond if you leave something, but yeah, anyways, that's about it. I'm 18 now, and Smith Plays, if you're somehow watching this video, stick to zombies, kid. See ya.
Hold on.